My name is Jeremis Smith. I'm from Fort Worth, Texas, the east side of Fort Worth. I went to Dunbar High School, where I won a state championship against NBA analyst Kendrick Perkins. That'll just tell you my age a little bit. Left here and went to Georgia Tech, where I played 4 years, graduated there for 4 years. Went to the tournament twice, and left there and went and played professionally for 11 years, where I traveled to maybe 10 or 11 different countries. Overseas, I actually won 2 championships and also had the opportunity to meet my wife in Israel. Lonely is like an understatement, almost. It's like being over there, almost about to lose your mind. Not knowing how to communicate, not knowing how to speak the language was really tough too, because that was where the truest isolation came in, was the language barrier. The time that I can recall where I was most burnt out is when I did not get drafted to the NBA and I had to try my luck overseas. So my second opportunity overseas was in a city called Nanterre, France. It's right outside of Paris. Out there and just did a great job for my first real opportunity. So they ended up cutting me and sending me to a Division A team. So at this time I'm not as savvy of a traveler as an adult traveler. I got 2 50-pound duffel bags that I'm carrying around, like jumping on trains and cabs and stuff, trying to get from the south of France to another city in south of France called Orléans. So I get there, I get to practice, and y'all, by the time I get to practice, I had already been through another training camp. I had already been traveling with this heavy luggage. My knees were hurting, my back was hurting, my mind was a little discouraged. So by the time I got there, like, I really couldn't even perform like I was called to do. I was cut within 3 days, and I literally had to find my way home. And after that, I just took a year off from basketball. Like, I was like, basketball don't love me like I love it anymore. And it was just time to go do something different. I was at a point where I was just like, I had given up on myself, and I knew like God was the only thing that could help me. So I dropped to my knees and I was like, God, whatever you try to do in my life, I give everything to you right now. Like, everything. If it's going my way, I'll be thankful. If it's not going my way, I'll be thankful, because I know like you're doing something for me or to me. It was easily the only way. I was listening to a sermon this past Sunday, and we're going through a series of it's called Miracles, God's Miracles, or something like that. And one of his points was that we always go to God as our last resort, for whatever reason, instead of like putting him first, or like maybe messing up once or twice and then okay, cool, like, God, what's up? How can I help myself? How can we better this situation? But I got to the realization that I literally could not do it without him. I mean, I couldn't do it on my own. I'm not even strong enough to bear that burden. And I had to put my ego aside, put my own self-esteem aside, and say, like, I just can't do this by myself. I was younger. I didn't really know what a healthy rest was. I would either get home from overseas and not do anything, or I would get home and I would work too hard. So I didn't find a healthy medium until maybe I was 30 years old. And by that time I had already, not really on a decline, because I was still at the peak of my game, but my career was on the latter half of being done. So it got to a point to where I had to do more than just listen to my body. I had to research. I had to ask questions. I even had to like dig back into like my college my college trainer. So I had to like mastermind my way through just a healthy medium. So I had to talk to trainers, I had to talk to nutritionists, I had to talk to other ball players. Essentially just took a lot of advice and built a model that was best for me. One goal that I set for myself was making sure I was in my bed by 12 o'clock at night. And that allowed me to wake up. It allowed me to have a sound mind. It allowed my body to physically feel rested. And it allowed me to know, like my spirit to know, like for me to know my spirit was good because I was where I was supposed to be. One day I was at lunch with one of my teammates, and he just straight up asked me, "Why do you believe in Jesus Christ so much?" And I was like, oh, "Got him." I was like, "This is all I've ever needed him to ask me was this question." And I broke it down to him. And he was asking me because somebody else was asking him, and he knew like my faith was very strong. He knew I leaned on it, depended on it. Using who I was off the court, just in some way on the court, whether it was at times just picking my battles. Apologize at times for my non-Christian-like behavior on the court, and just show some humility.